In this video, I'm going to go through a complete breakdown and rebuild of the Cabrina Overdrive 1X with recoil control system. This will show you how to replace any of the spare parts for the system that we provide. So let's start things off with the security pin. So on the control system, on the quick loop, you're going to locate the back of it, and you see there's 2 screws. We're going to go for the middle screw. So to do this, you're going to need a 2mm hex key or Allen key. So you're going to undo this anti-clockwise, and then pull the pin down and out. Okay, so make sure you don't lose this screw. What I'm going to recommend is that you just screw it back in. Next part, let's look at the harness loop. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the loop up to start with, and using a 2mm hex key again, you're going to undo the bolt, but this time you're going to have to take it all the way out. Yeah, once the screw is removed, you just pull the loop out at the bottom of the quick loop. Okay, moving our way up, let's have a look at the QR bungee. So to do this, I find it easier if the cover's down because it takes the tension off the bungee. So you're using a screwdriver or a pointy thing. You're going to put this into the channels on the side, and what you're going to try to do is move the knot down until you can grab the end and pull it out. And you're going to repeat this for the other side. Once they're undone, take from the top, you're going to pull this out. Next step is we're actually going to remove a quick loop. On the bottom of the landing line, the 1X landing line, there's a swivel and a power bracket. You slide the power bracket seat up and undo the lock set knot. Okay, with that removed, you can take this piece off. So you're just going to give it a pull. The next step is we're going to undo the 2 bolts, which are in the spinning handle. To this, you're going to need your 2mm hex key again. So you're going to locate which side has got the hex key on it, and we're just going to go anti-clockwise. And for this, you're going to have to remove it completely, take them all the way out. Okay, with the screws removed, you're just going to pull the 2 parts apart and separate the bottom spinning handle from the top spinning handle. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to remove the 1X landing line. So go to the top of the control system, and locate the 1X landing line, and you're just going to pull that all the way up and out. Okay, in this case, we've still got it attached to the lower front line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it from here. So you slide up the other power bracket seat, and you see the loop-to-loop connection. Open that up, take that off, and then remove a power bracket seat. Next step, we're going to remove the D-power main line. Okay, so to do this, we're actually going to start at the bottom of the spinning handle, and we're going to take this looper line off the part. In this case, like here, I can actually pull this off. If not, you might need to use something like a pointy thing to slide it off a base. Move the spinning handle up a little bit, and you'll see it exposes the transition funnel. So you're going to remove that, and then go to the top of the D-power main line and take hold of the triangle bracket, and you're going to pull this line up and out. Okay, so the next step is I'm actually going to remove the CAS. So to do this and the recoil, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull from here. You slide the recoil up, which is attached to the D-power mainline funnel, the recoil slider, and then the CAS. Okay, and the D-power mainline is separated. Okay, and the CAS, we're now going to undo the triangle shackle, which is here. And to do this, you need a flathead screwdriver. So you're just going to place it in and turn it anti-clockwise. You can slide that out, separate that, and put the screw back through so you don't lose it. One other step we can do is we can actually separate the recoil from the D-power mainline funnel. So all you need to do is at the top, you just need to grab the 2, give it a little bit of tension, and separate the 2 parts like that. Okay, so now we've took everything apart, we've broken it down, it's time to rebuild the control system. The first thing we're going to look at is your bar end bungee. If this is broken through use, it's a pretty easy way to replace this. Okay, so there's a knot on the inside of this, so what I'm going to do is I've pulled it through on one side. I'm going to pull it as much as possible and just cut it off below. Okay, you can leave a knot on the inside, it won't make a difference. Okay, you're going to take your new replacement piece. You see the ends have got a plastic part, which will go into a T shape on the inside. You're going to push this into the hole and just push that down and through. Give it a little shake and pull back and it will lock itself in. Okay, make sure the tab's in the middle, and you're just going to repeat this onto the other side. Okay, so you're just going to make sure, you've got to make sure that plastic piece goes all the way in below the EVA. Give it a little shake, pull it out, and there you go. And then you've replaced your bungee section. Okay, the next step, if your pull tab is broken, the pull tab is this piece on the bottom, and it operates the overdrive mechanism. First thing you're going to do is, as you can see on the bottom, there's a metal catch. You need to bring this catch out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tension off the arm by pulling and just pull up. Okay, and now the overdrive arm is in a neutral position. It's not catched either side. So this is your pull tab. What you got is a loop, so you're going to poke the end of this loop through that hole. Okay, and you're just going to pass the loop and pull it tight. So from here you can set it into the output side position. Just check it works. Okay, so next step on the rebuild, we're going to start with the recoil spring. You can take your recoil and your transition funnel. These two parts just push together. Just place it over and push it till it clicks. Okay, there's little catches on there. Okay, so moving on to the CAS, let's rebuild that. And what I find easier is if we lay this out, how it's going to look on the finished product. Take your triangle shackle, which has got your D-power main line attached to the bottom. I'm just going to undo that. See the splice, the loop-to-loop connections on this one, the knots over the front, that's the back, and that's how you want to orientate it with the CAS. So you're just going to line it up and put through your screw. And then using your flathead screwdriver, we're just going to hand tighten this part. Okay, so the next step is we're going to start assembling all this kind of stuff onto the D-power main line. So you're going to take your PU tube and you're going to push this up through the bottom of the bar. Okay, the first thing which we've got to put over is the bottom of the bungee guide. Recoil slider on next, and then we're going to put the recoil spring. Okay, this part is actually in the transition funnel, only sit one way. So what I find is you put it on and you can just turn it till it seats in, and that's how the two parts join. Next step is we've got to feed this D-power main line back through the PU tube. So what I find the easiest way to do this is using some fishing line. So you need enough fishing line to do double the length and plus a little bit more. So normally I'd do around 2 meters, and you've got plenty of line to play with. So there's 2 holes in the top of the D-power mainline funnel, and we're actually going to go for the smaller hole, which is this one here. Put the fishing line in, and we're just going to push it all the way through until it pokes out the end. Now what I find easier is I'm just going to keep pulling this until it starts to sit in. The key thing we've got to try to do now is just make sure this is all in line. So these knots need to face the outside, this edge of the funnel. Until that's the case, and just orientate it on the top. We're going to feed this through the D-power mainline funnel. So I'm just going to pull it to make sure these splices seat inside. And what you'll see is the end of the line starts to stick out of the bottom. What I find easier to do now is just to get some tension on it, is just put a spiky thing or a screwdriver through the loop on the bottom, just to pull a little bit harder. Okay, for this point now, you actually want something you can tether onto and put some force against. So I'm going to flip this around. I got a carabiner, which I've bolted onto the table. And this means I can then put some load against this part. So I'm going to feed the loop, a line on the end, through the carabiner. What that's going to do is allow me to pull hard against this now. What you're going to need now is something like mole grips. What I've done, I just put a piece of EVA on here to stop so the teeth aren't sharp. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be pulling this now to try to expose as much of this line, as this loop as possible. Okay, so before you really put the tension on, you need to make sure the spinning handle, the top section, is pushed down to the bottom. You don't have to go all the way down, just leave it a little bit, but just so you get as close to the bottom part. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull the tension on and clamp it off. So we're going to take the transition funnel, this piece here. Okay, and what it's going to do, it's going to index in. See, there's a slot. This is what goes over the line. And what I can do now is I can move the transition funnel down. It only goes one direction. You can only slide this all the way down in one side because it's got a key. So what we're doing is you're making sure this line sits over this lip here. Again, it's not catching in any way. And what you're going to do is just release the grip. Make sure the transition funnel is pushed all the way down. Okay, and then that's the D-power main line assembled. So this is how the part should look. You want to make sure that everything is in line and nothing is twisted. Okay, so the next step is we're going to put the landing line back through. So for this, you're going to need your lower front line section and your landing line and a power bracket seat. Okay, so this is my lower front line section. We're going to go through the round hole. You want to take a power bracket seat and use a little piece of fishing line to pull this line through. Okay, on your landing line you've got two loops. One loop is thin when you feel it, and the other end has got an inner core, which is a little bit thicker. The inner core section is the one you want to attach to this point here. And you're just going to use a loop-to-loop connection. Pull the line down, make sure they're not seated. With a little tension, you can pull the power bracket seat over the top. Okay, then using your fishing line, which you used earlier, we're going to just feed this through the D-power main line. So using the fishing line, we're going to go through the bigger hole on the top of the D-power main line funnel. Okay, and you're just going to push this through until the line comes out the bottom. So everything above is now assembled. What we're going to look on now is reassembling the quick loop component. So first step is we're going to do the bungee. Okay, so this is a spare part bungee. So it's got a long tail and a short end here. This is the first nut you're going to pull in. So either side of the body, you're just going to place that nut on the bottom, pull it up. Okay, now you're going to feed this tail up into the body and out the hole, and you're just going to pull this tight, and then this goes back down through the other side, and you pull that down. And you're just going to make sure that knot now goes over the gap and then seats itself in. So normally just give it a little pull up from above. Okay, and with that end part there, all you need to do is just cut that off. And just check the function's working. Okay, next step is I'm going to put the loop back in. Okay, so what you see on the loop is we have two ends, one with a stainless fitting, one with a plastic bushing. Plastic bushing is going to go into the side where the screw will go in, which is this bit here. You just push that up all the way until it can go no further. And then using a 2mm hex key, we're just going to screw this bolt back into the body. Try to make it the same distance in on both sides of the body to make sure it's fully held. Okay, and then you're just going to give us a pull, make sure it's in, which it is, and you can reset the loop. Okay, next step is we're going to replace the security pin. So we put the screw in there already, so you're just going to undo that. It doesn't need to go all the way out, just enough so that there's space for the security pin to go in. And that's just going to slide into the bottom of the body, all the way up. And then we just screw it back down. So your quick loop's now reassembled. Time to just put it on a D-power main line. So the first thing, we're going to pass the landing line down through the hole in the center. Now what I find easier to do now is I actually prefer to set this up so it doesn't fall off with the leash connection. So you need a little piece of fishing line again just to help you pull this through. So put the fishing line through the loop. Take the power bracket seat. Again, the pointy side goes to the top. Okay, you slide it over the line. Then using a loop-to-loop connection, we're going to attach the leash connection. So just poke it through the hole, pass the loop over the top, pull it down, make sure it's seated, and pull the power bracket seat down. Okay, final section is we're now going to put the spinning handles together. So this can only connect the one way, so you see it won't go together this side, but if you spin this around, the two pieces key together. Then using your 2mm hex key, I'm just going to put the bolts back through. Give it one final check over, just make sure everything's in line, which it is. And your control system is ready to go once you've connected your control lines. If you have any questions about this or any of our other products, please go to cabrinakites.com.